to a brand new episode of Picks with Rich. I am Rantin' Rich, and as always, I want to thank you for watching the show today. So, first event of 2020, and before I even go on, I do want to say, even though I'm completely late, happy holidays, happy new year. I haven't been on here in quite some time, so that's why I'm giving it to you late, but better late than never. I hope you guys had a very healthy, safe new year, and I'm starting this one with a bang. The UFC also starting with a bang. Very first competition for the UFC and very first Picks with Rich episode of 2020. So hoping to make some money this time around. We got DraftKings, fantasy, all that good stuff. So let's get into the card. UFC 246 is going down this Saturday, January 18th. 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada at the T-Mobile Arena. So we all know about this one. Conor McGregor is back. So excited about this one. After 15 months, he's stepping back into the octagon to face Donald Cowboy Cerrone. I think we've been waiting for this for quite a while. He's like the one guy at 155 that hadn't been taken out by Conor McGregor. But speaking of 155, they're actually going to be fighting at 170. So your typical 155 weight class is no more, at least for now. And Conor, of course, he talked about staying at 170. He likes that weight class, blah, 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 blah. He'll probably, at some point, go back down to 155 again. But anyway, really excited about that. Ring rust, all that good stuff. Octagon rust, whatever you want to call it. Who knows what's going to happen. You have two different styles. You have Conor McGregor as a stand-up, powerful, explosive guy that starts off fast. Then you got Donald Cerrone, where he can do it all. He has great stand-up as well, but he starts off really slow. Has a great gas tank, whereas Conor doesn't, or at least in the past he hadn't. So we're going to see what he's been training on. Hopefully he's been getting that stuff cued in and so he can be the Conor of old and just start winning fights again. And if you're a Cowboy fan, of course, Cowboy's been working hard. He's no slouch. He's not stopping anytime soon as far as I know. So a co-main event, not the most exciting anticipated fight of the year. I'm going to be honest, at least for me, not. Holly Holm's taking on Raquel Pennington. I have a lot of respect for both of them, especially Holly Holm. She's done some phenomenal stuff since she's been in the UFC. But, I know what the UFC is doing. I know what they're getting at. Conor McGregor is coming back. That's really all they need to sell fights, to sell tickets, and pay-per-views. So that's pretty much what they're banking on. The rest of the event, and I'll get into it in a second, it's okay. There's a few exciting fights peppered in that I hope are going to be exciting anyway. You never know. But, it is what it is. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to be grateful just to see a good main event at least. And that'll be that. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the picks and let's make some. Okay, so let's start off with the first fight. This is on the early prelims. This should be on Fight Pass, but you guys know how it goes. Times and channels and things do tend to switch. Take it with a grain of salt, but they should at least be on Fight Pass, and this is the early prelims. So let's get into the first fight of the night. We have Sabina Mazal versus JJ Aldridge. These two women are going at it at 125 pounds. Mazal and Aldridge are both coming in as a minus 110, which is fantastic if you do like either of these fighters. Mazal is 7-1 in her professional career, 1-1 in the UFC. Somewhat of a decision fighter. Most of her fights have gone to decision, so she likes to stand up and pick her opponent apart. Same with JJ Aldridge. I mean, like I said, they're even for a reason. Vegas, for once, has this just about right. Aldridge should have a slight leg up, I would say, on Mazal. She's 8-3 in her professional career, 4-2 in the UFC, so she does have a little bit more experience, but on paper, she's also somewhat of a decision fighter. Likes to keep it standing, likes to grind her opponents apart and get the win. As for me, I'm not really impressed with either of these fighters, so I'm going to completely leave this one alone. But again, it is a close fight, so if you do like either one of these fighters, I say go for it. So moving on to the second fight of the night at 135 pounds, we have Brian Kelleher versus Odone Osborne. Kelleher is coming in as the slight underdog at a plus 105, and Osborne is the slight favorite at a minus 125. Let's start with Kelleher. He is 19-10 in his professional career, 3-3 in the UFC, which is great. Experience-wise, he's definitely got that. He's coming off of 2 losses in a row, unfortunately, though, so he's been out of the octagon for over a year now, coming off those 2 losses. Isn't looking that great for him. I mean, I don't know how much he has left in the tank as far as his career goes. Don't know about contracts and all that stuff. He's bringing a lot to the table, I will say. Stand-up wise, he has a really high output. I guess that's a positive. The negative to that, I guess, which kind of doesn't go as well in his favor, is that he does get hit a lot standing up. He doesn't have the best defense in the world. And as far as 6 out of his 10 losses have been by submission. And I'm going to get to Osborne in a second because that's going to go hand in hand. So Kelleher, let's move on to OD Osborne. Now he is making his UFC debut. He is 8-2 in his professional career. Usually I don't really pay attention to guys making their UFC debut. I'll watch them, but as far as the money goes, I really rather not put money into these fighters that are coming off of Dana White's Contender Series, because that's exactly where he's coming from. But something about this guy is special to me. Of course, going back to Dana White's Contender Series, he won in the first round by submission. Most of his career wins have been by submission. So he's a great BJJ practitioner. He's getting it done. Whether he wins or loses this fight, I have a really good feeling about him, and I'm going to take a chance. That's what gambling's all about. I'm going to put up $125 to make 100, and I am not doing any prop bets, but if you are a prop bet guy or girl listening, I say he's going to win by submission. So take that with a grain of salt, but yeah, I'm going to definitely take Osborne to win. 125 to make 100. So for the third fight of the night at 125 pounds, we have Tim Elliott taking on Askar Askarov. And I know I'm butchering that name, so I'm going to call him Double A. That's right. Let's start with Tim Elliott first. These odds are actually exactly the same as the Kelleher-Osborne fight. Elliott's the plus 105 underdog. Askarov, or Double A, is the minus 125 favorite. Tim Elliott is 15-9-1 in his professional career, 4-7 in the UFC, coming off of a loss to Davison Figueiredo. That was his last fight. Double A is 10-0-1 in his professional career. His first UFC fight was a draw, which kind of sucks for him. All I do know about him is he's got a deadly ground game, and I think he could definitely use that against Elliott. But got the experience with Elliott, the stand-up, the very balanced fighter, and then you have the new guy, Askarov. It's not his debut, but it might as well be if his first one was a draw with a great. Not enough here to really, I feel, to risk that I want to risk anyway. If you guys like either of these fighters, go ahead. It's very close. I'm staying away from this one. Okay, so fourth fight of the night, last fight on the early prelims, we have Alexei versus Justin Ledet. Kimura is coming in as the slight favorite at a minus 120. Ledet is the slight underdog at a plus 100. These guys are fighting at 205 pounds light heavyweight. Kimura is another new guy. Dana White's Contender Series, 5-0 in his professional career, making his debut. I do have to say, he did win by TKO, and not just on Dana White's Contender Series, which he won by TKO, but in all of his other fights since he started. Again, he's 5-0, and those have all been finishes. So a heavy hitter, not messing around, 205 pounds. We'll see what he has. Moving on to Ledet. Again, he's the slight underdog at a plus 100, 9-2 in his professional career, 3-2 in the UFC. One thing I gotta say that really stands out is he got a 6-inch reach advantage, and he's good on the ground. His ground game is pretty solid. He's won his first 3 fights in the UFC, but lost his last 2. So in this one, not really sure. If I had to pick gun to the head, I guess I would take Kimura on this one, and I would say TKO, but I'm not throwing money away. I don't feel confident enough. I'm going to pass on this one as well. At 155 pounds, we have Drew Dober taking on Nasrat Haqparast. Another name that I can't pronounce. Dober's coming in as the underdog, a good-sized underdog at a plus 270, and Nazarov is coming in as the good-sized favorite at a minus 330. Now, I was a little curious about this fight. Honestly, I've always been a Drew Dober fan. He's been up and down, back and forth for quite a while. I don't like him enough, and I've been disappointed with him in the past. I'll be completely honest with you. So, he's not really in my favor these days, but those odds are way off to me. I think they should be a lot closer, at least on paper. We don't know what's going to happen come fight night, of course. But Drew Dober is no slouch, and I think people need to kind of respect that, and I think these odds are way off. Maybe if Nazarov came in at a minus 200, Drew Dober came in at a plus 150 or whatever he would be, 130. That might make more sense to me. If I did, maybe I'd go like $25 on Drew Dober. I'm not going to unless I change my mind last minute, and that does happen sometimes. I'm giving you everything that I'm putting in right now. So with that being said, I'm going to stay away from this one. Doesn't really make sense to take Nazarov at that price. And Drew Dober, I'm kind of on the fence about it. If I did, again, it'd be very, very small. But as far as I'm concerned right now, as I'm recording, I'm going to stay away from this one. Okay, so let's move on to the 145-pound division. Andre Fili versus Sadiq Yusuf. Andre Fili, this is another close one too. Fili's coming in as the slight underdog at a plus 110. Yusuf is the slight favorite at a minus 130. Fili is 20-6 in his professional career, 8-5 in the UFC, coming off of 2 wins in a row. He's got some heavy hands. I mean, you could take a look at him and say, this guy, he's not much. He weighs in at 145 pounds. He's very skinny. He's very, rangy and lanky, but he's got some heavy hands for somebody his size. I just think with Fili, he gets a little sloppy. He's been up and down, back and forth, win, lose, win, lose. He's one of those types of fighters, even though he is on a 2-fight win streak, which is great for him. I think he has found his stride, and that's helped him a lot. When he first came in 2013, I mean, I was listening to all the podcasts and I heard him coming through the ranks and people talking highly about him, really highly about him. But then he gets to the UFC and he doesn't really perform the way we anticipated. So I think right now, though, like I said, he's found his stride. I think he's at his prime. And who knows what's going to happen. I don't know. But let's move on to Yusuf, and I'm going to get into who I'm going to take, because I actually am going to take one of these fighters. So Yusuf is 10-1 in his professional career, 3-0 in the UFC, 5 pro wins in a row, 3 of those being in the UFC. He's also a powerful hitter, and he's got some heavy hands too. So I don't know. I don't know where Fili, if Andre Fili has trouble on the feet, he's probably going to try to take him down. But also Yusuf has some great takedown defense. If they do decide to trade on the feet, he's got a higher output and better defense, because Fili really doesn't have that great of defense. So in this one, I do like Yusuf. Again, I was pretty high on Fili for so many years, and then he just continued to disappoint. So Yusuf is definitely on my radar. I'm gonna go with him. $65 to make 50, and I say he wins by TKO KO. Okay, so moving on to the last fight of the prelims, and then we're gonna get to the exciting stuff, the good stuff, the main card on pay-per-view. But anyway, this is the last fight. All right, so at 125 pounds, we have Roxanne Modafferi versus Maycee Barber. Now, I'm not gonna get into this too much because it's just pointless. As far as from a betting perspective, it's a little ridiculous. Vegas has this all wrong. Maycee Barber should not come in at a minus 1,000. I have her now at a minus 900, which is a little bit better, but not really. Modafferi is a plus 600. Pretty ridiculous. Now, if I were to do anything, I would obviously take Modafferi. Anything can happen on any given night. We all know that. Taking a huge favorite, you're gonna risk $1,000 to make 100. Pretty ridiculous. I'm not touching this fight, and I know I probably should lay a little bit of something on it. $10 even would make me 60 if Modafferi comes through with a lucky strike, some type of submission or something. I'd get something, but I just don't like the fight. It smells funny. The odds are off. I'm not really pumped or excited about this fight, so you know what? I'm just gonna leave it alone and save my money. All right, so moving on to the main card. This is the pay-per-view card, of course. At 155 pounds, we have Anthony Pettis taking on Diego Ferreira. Pettis is the good size, not huge, but decent size underdog at a plus 210. 22-9 in his professional career, 9-8 in the UFC. Now, there's a funny thing about Pettis. Pettis used to be phenomenal in the octagon. He's the flashy fighter coming in. Over the years, I think he's had a few losses. Then he kind of lost some confidence, then left the weight class. Now he's back fighting at 155 pounds. He says he feels great. He feels better than ever. Of course, I had said earlier about experienced fighters, because we all know Anthony Pettis has been in there with the who's who. We all know a lot. Most of us know his fight history. He's been in there with some serious competition, and he was a champion. He was a champion for quite a while. So he did his thing. Can't take anything away from Anthony Pettis. Again, flashy guy. He's good on the mat. But some of his negatives, as far as him getting older and having more miles, like I said, more miles on the engine, is that he's become a little slower. His defense he just does not put his hands up. Fight after fight after fight, we're seeing him diminish a little bit, and then we'll see like a rise a little, and then he'll go back down. So I really can't figure out Anthony Pettis for the life of me. I've really been trying to figure this guy out for quite a while. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see which Anthony Pettis shows up come Saturday night, the old one or the new one. Let's move on to Diego Ferreira. Again, he is the favorite at a minus 250. I would think it'd be a little bit lower, but it's really not too far off. I definitely see him coming out as the favorite in this one. Vegas doesn't have it too far off. He is 16-2 in his professional career, 7-2 in the UFC, coming off of 5 wins in a row. He's been really working on his stand-up. I know he came into the UFC, into the organization but I think over the years he's really been trying to hone in on that striking. He's very fast, he's quick. The only negative thing, I guess, is if it's a negative, is that he doesn't have great takedown defense. It's decent, but if Anthony Pettis does decide to go to the mat with him, I still give the advantage to Ferreira. So I'm actually going to take Ferreira, but I'm going to throw him on a 2-fighter parlay, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. So let's pause on that. Let's move on to the next fight. At 115 pounds, we have Claudia Gadelha versus Alexei Grasso. Gadelha and Grasso are both -110. Let's start with Gadelha. She is 17-4 in her professional career, 6-4 in the UFC, coming off of a win to Ronda Marcos back in July. She's another one I can't figure out. Win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. As soon as you think she's doing great, she loses a fight. It's just the consistency thing. It's just not there with Gadelha. I think she's a strong, powerful fighter. She's a great wrestler. I think she definitely has a grappling and jiu-jitsu advantage in this one. But I'm just uncertain about her. Let's move on to Alexei Grasso. She is 11-3 in a professional career, 3-3 in the UFC. Similar to Gadelha, she's win, lose, same type of thing. She's coming off of a loss to Carla Esparza. I thought that was a little controversial. I actually had Grasso to win that fight, but either way, she's still coming off of a loss. Her bread and butter obviously are her hands, her boxing skills, her output. I think that's going to be a problem for Gadelha. And being that these odds are so close, I do feel that Grasso, this is a good fight for Grasso. I think it's going to be a challenge, but yet I think she's going to come through on top. So as much as I'm not a huge fan of Grasso, and again, win, lose, can't really figure her out, I do want to put her on a 2-fighter parlay. I'm going to go with Ferreira and Grasso. So it's going to be, I'm risking $100 to make about 170 back. So moving on to the third fight of the main card, we have Alexei Olynyk versus Maurice Greene. These are the 2 heavyweights going at it. Olynyk's coming in as the slight underdog at a +115, and Greene is the slight favorite at a -135. Starting off with Olynyk, he is 57-13-1 in his professional career. And yes, you did hear that right. 57-13-1 in his professional career. Coming off of 2 losses in a row, and they were TKO, KO losses too. So he's not a young guy anymore. Been in, how many fights is that? Let me think of it really quick. This 72, is it? This will be his 72nd fight, right? That is a lot. That is a lot of pro MMA fights. That's ridiculous. But anyway, let's move on to Maurice Greene. He is the favorite at a -135. 8-3 in his professional career, 3-1 in the UFC, coming off of a TKO loss back in October, winning his first 3 fights in the UFC, and then coming off that loss. If I had to pick, I guess I would take Greene. I'm not quite sure how it's going to go down, to be honest, so I'm not going to touch it. Yes, the co-main event at 135 pounds, we have Holm taking on Raquel Pennington. Holm's coming in as the favorite at a -135, where Pennington is the slight underdog at a +115. Holm is 12-5 in a professional career, 5-5 in the UFC. Yeah, let me just be straight up. I think Holm's going to get it done. Raquel Pennington, I don't feel has a chance. Holm is for sure the superior striker, kickboxer. She's got a lot of bounce while she's out there in the octagon in her step. I think she's a lot faster. I think she can move in and out of the pocket like she usually does. I for sure think she has a disadvantage if it goes to the mat, and I think that she has a disadvantage if you're talking about pure strength. But I think the way Holm fights, and it's been a while since she's been on a roll, but the way she fights, I think she'll be able to get it done. But let me get into Raquel Pennington real quick. She's 10-7 in her professional career, 7-4 in the UFC. I feel that she got a lucky win on Aldana on her last fight. Say what you want, she got a win. I see so many holes in Raquel Pennington's game that I don't think she's going to stand a chance with Holm. Now, if she goes for the takedown, completes a takedown, yes, then she'll have an advantage. But I don't think she's going to be able to take Holm down. I think Holm's just too quick, too fast. I think she's going to just be picking her apart. I believe she's going to win by decision. But however way she wins, I'm going to take Holly Holm on this one. I like her. $135 to make 100. And again, I guess she'll win by decision. I'm not doing any prop bets on this one, but that would be my guess if she were to win. So moving on to the main event, this is the last fight of the night. Really excited about this one. Conor McGregor making his return back into the octagon after a 15-month layoff. He's going to be taking on Donald Cowboy Cerrone. McGregor is the favorite at a minus 300, and Cerrone is the underdog at a plus 250. I think that should be a lot closer. Don't know exactly what the odds would be. Maybe a minus 180, 170. Only because Conor's ground game in the past hasn't been great. His cardio hasn't been great. And the layoff, of course, that's not great. Donald Cerrone is the complete opposite. His cardio is great. His ground game is great. And he's been active. And that's great because that keeps him in the loop. Physically, mentally, everything else. There's no octagon rust, even a possibility for Donald Cerrone, because he was just in there recently. So anyway, let's get started with Conor McGregor. Phenomenal fighter. You guys know him. Some people love him, some people hate him. The smack talking, say what you want, but he still gets it done at the end of the night. I know his last fight actually was a loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov. But before that, I mean, yeah, he lost to Nate. Sure, he got choked out by Nate, but he's been on a roll. You can't say that Conor McGregor isn't one of the best fighters to ever step into the octagon, because he is, and that's a fact. He's 21-4 in his professional career. He's got quite a few fights in the UFC. Beat big names: Eddie Alvarez, Nate Diaz, Jose Aldo, Chaz Mendez, Dustin Poirier, just to name a few. Max Holloway. So yeah, he's been in there, and again, say what you want about Conor McGregor, but he gets it done. He talks a lot of shit, I'll admit that, but he gets it done at the end of the day. Now, I have been watching quite a few interviews with Conor McGregor. I know he had that incident not too long ago with the old guy at the bar. He socked him. I'm sure that guy got paid off by Conor. If you listen to him now, he really does sound mature, and I hate to sound so naive. I know Conor said things of this nature in the past, but he's really coming off as a genuine martial artist, like a family guy. He's settled. He's calm. He just wants to get in there and fight. And that's what I really feel. Fighting Donald Cerrone at 170 pounds, I think, gives the advantage to Conor. I think that, yes, his cardio has been an issue, like I said earlier, but this also gives him the opportunity to keep that muscle on that normally he'd be cutting down. Conor, I don't know if you've seen him lately, but he looks like he's ready to, he looks ripped and in shape. And, you know, again, with those hands, it could be lights out for Donald Cerrone if he connects at the right time, in the right position, of course. Now, as far as the two negative things that I brought up earlier, his cardio, look, he's had 15 months to really figure it out. He just recently said on an interview that he is paying now. He listened to LeBron James, and LeBron James, I guess, spends $1.5 million on just nutrition and health related stuff so he can make it through to the next season and be the best that he can be. He just started doing that. I really think that his cardio is going to be better, and not only physically, but I think that mentally he's going to know when to pace himself and when not to just throw everything in. Conor's so explosive and he's so passionate about knocking people out that I think he gets a little overzealous sometimes and gets a little too excited. He's got to pace himself. He's got to slow down. That knockout will come. If it's going to come, it's going to come. You know, they have 5 rounds to do. That's 25 minutes. If he's going to knock him out, it's going to come, but he just can't rush it, because that's when I feel he's going to get gassed. And besides that, I do think this time off was good, and he has been working on his conditioning and his nutrition, which is going to help his conditioning. So that's one thing. And then we've also seen videos and pictures of Conor rolling, being more familiar with jiu-jitsu, such a technical martial art. Dylan Dennis's boy, and others too. There's other people working with him trying to get that jiu-jitsu skill under his belt, so he doesn't get taken out like he did by Nate Diaz and Khabib Nurmagomedov, for that fact. So I think those things he has been working on. He's had plenty of time to figure it out, and I think he's going to come in the best Conor McGregor we've ever seen. So let's move on to Donald Cerrone, another great fighter, 36-13 in his professional career. Way too many fights to count in the UFC, but he's been around for a long time. Most of you guys already know that anyway. Like I was saying before, he's like the opposite of Conor. Great on the mat, slow starter, whereas Conor's a very explosive, fast starter. It takes him a while to really snap out of it.
And as far as speed goes on the feet, he's very slow. He's very slow. He's very slow defensively too, as far as blocking goes. I don't think Conor's gonna fall for the okie doke and receive one of those head kicks. And also, I've heard that even though, you know, we know Donald Cerrone is better on the mat, he's a better jiu-jitsu guy, I heard him talk about wanting to be remembered and wanting a legacy and not wanting to just go in and win the fight and just chase the belt and just do anything you can to win the fight. He wants exciting fights. He wants exciting fights for the fans. He wants that bonus money. He wants a knockout. He wants to go out old school, basically. He doesn't want to get caught up in just the win. He wants to be remembered whenever he retires. That could be Saturday night. That could be 3 years from now. Whenever he retires, he wants to be known as that guy that just stepped in and faced anybody at any time. The crazy guy that always went for knockouts, things of that nature. So I think especially for this fight, he called his own shot and is insinuating, he didn't exactly say it, but he's insinuating at least through that interview that I heard, that he wants to stand and bang, and whatever happens, happens. If he wins, great. If he loses, you know, he's going to go out as one of the best. So this is going to be an exciting one. I honestly, I mean, if Conor was lower, I'd be taking Conor in a heartbeat. I'm not going to put up 300 to make 100 on him. I think it's going to be lights out for Donald Cerrone. I think Conor McGregor is going to go in there. Maybe third round, possibly even fourth round. He's going to put the lights out on Donald Cerrone, and I think he's going to finish him. I don't think Donald Cerrone stands any chance with Conor being at this weight as swole and big as he is. So yeah, I'm not going to put up any money. It's a little bit too expensive out of my range, but if I had to guess, I'd say Conor McGregor by TKO KO. And you know what? I never do this, but I'm going to get even a little bit more technical. I'm going to say he wins in the fourth. Yes, the third of the fourth round. The third of the fourth round. I say he's going to win by TKO KO. So that's the last fight, and yeah, that's all I got.
So that's going to do it. Those are my picks for UFC 246. As always, make sure you comment down below. Let me know if you agree, disagree, who you're taking, how you're going to do it, parlay, single bet, or whatever have you. So Rich's Volggerviews. This is my brand new channel. It's actually not brand new anymore. It's probably like a month or two old. And subscribe. I'm going to have really cool content out. It's more of my personal vlog channel rather than an MMA channel. So go over to Rich's Volggerviews. Again, link is going to be in the description down below. And DraftKings. Here it goes. Here it goes. You see it? Yeah, $3 game, 30 contestants. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth place are going to win. I may go back to just first, second, and third for UFC 247. Last time it was successful. We had 25 contestants, and I think the first top three won that one, which worked out pretty well. Of course, I didn't win. I'm still getting the hang of the whole fantasy thing, but maybe it'll be your shot to bank in. And of course, if you're not betting any serious type of money, this is like a great alternative. Fantasy MMA is a great alternative to get in there, have a lot of fun, and possibly win some money. So make sure you get that description. Make sure you get that link in the description down below, as well as Rich's Volggerviews. Okay, so that's going to do it. That's all I got for you. Good luck if you're doing fantasy or betting. Enjoy the fights on Saturday night. If you haven't already, to this channel too, subscribe. Rich's Rant Radio Show. And like this video if you liked or enjoyed it, found it useful, all that good stuff. So, as always, Rant and Rich here, signing out from sunny SoCal. I'm out of here. Latest.